Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 30 minutes of Torah study for the Torah portion of Matos and Masei. Tonight's class is dedicated to the complete and speedy recovery of Eliot Scheuer, Eliyahu Benyamin ben Rus. So right now we are in the middle of the summer. Summer is absolutely the best time of the year. The sun is shining, the weather is gorgeous, people are going on vacations. However, in the Jewish calendar, it's actually the saddest time of the year. We are about to enter the month of Menachem Av, which is the saddest month of the year, which has in it Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, which is the saddest day of the year. Why is the day so sad? So we are told that there are 5 tragedies that befell the Jewish people on the 9th of Av. 1, it was decreed that our ancestors would not enter the land of Israel. It was decreed that the Jews would wander the desert for 40 years as a result of the terrible report that the spies brought back about the land of Israel. Number 2, the first Beis HaMikdash, the first holy temple in Jerusalem, was destroyed. Number 3, the second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. 4, the city of Beitar was captured. So this is an approximate to the year 135. After the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the Jews rallied around Bar Kokhba. He led a revolt, a rebellion against the Romans. He was quite successful for a short time, but then ultimately Bar Kokhba and hundreds of thousands of Jews were massacred, were butchered, and were kicked out of the land of Israel. And number 5, as a punishment, Jerusalem was plowed over by the Romans. This was meant to demoralize the Jewish people, to take away any hope of a return once again. So the Mishnah says, thus, when the month of Av enters, we decrease in joy. Throughout history, there have been many other tragedies that befell the Jewish people on this date, the 9th of Av. The date of the decree of the expulsion of the Jewish people from Spain in 1492 was Tisha B'Av. The date of the first deportation of Jews from the Warsaw Ghetto during the Holocaust, during World War II, was on Tisha B'Av. It's very hard for a Jew to feel positive. It's very hard for a Jew to feel optimistic, to feel encouraged on Tisha B'Av, on the 9th day of the month of Av. Elie Wiesel writes about the time that he went to Poland on Tisha B'Av. He went back to a once magnificent shul that was at this time dilapidated, falling apart. There were no services that took place in the main sanctuary. They were in a tiny little room on the side. And he writes, the text was referring to Jerusalem, but it applied to Warsaw, to Jewish Warsaw. What is left of Warsaw? Its Talmudic schools, its cultural clubs, its Hasidic centers, its political groups, its sages and its princes. The Jews of Warsaw are no longer in Warsaw. They're in Treblinka, 2 hours away. And there's nothing left to say. Another Kaddish and another one. How many prayers can one say for an entire world? How many candles must one light for mankind? It's very difficult for a person to be optimistic. We're in the middle of pain, when they're experiencing such hardship. Yet if you fast forward 45 years from this time where Elie Wiesel spent this most depressing Tisha B'Av in Warsaw, in Poland, Jewish life today is growing. It's flourishing in Poland. There are 5 Chabad centers throughout Poland. There are daily services taking place. There are Jewish schools where children are studying Torah. There are wonderful glatt kosher restaurants. There are fully stocked kosher supermarkets. There are beautiful mikvahs. Today, it's very easy for a Jew to be optimistic and positive about the future of Jewish life in Poland. But of course, it's easy today when things are going well. How is it possible for a person to be positive 45 years ago in Poland, in a dilapidated side room of a shul? Even more so, how is it possible for a person to be positive and optimistic about the future of Jewish life when you're sitting there amidst the ashes in Auschwitz? For some guidance, for an answer to the question, we turn to the Parsha. It's a double Parsha. Matos and Masei. The second parsha is called Masei, which means journeys, and it highlights the 42 journeys of the Jewish people from leaving slavery in Egypt till they entered into the promised land, the Holy Land, the land of Israel. The parsha begins, these are the journeys of the children of Israel who left Egypt and their legions under the charges of Moshe and Aaron. So the Torah tells us in the very first line that these are the journeys of the children of Israel. However, the Torah portion does not only discuss the journeys of the Jewish people, it also talks about their encampments. The Torah also lists the encampments of the Jewish people. Why were they not mentioned in the introductory passage? The portion begins, these are the journeys of the children of Israel. Why doesn't it say, these are the journeys and the encampments of the children of Israel? Why leave that out from the opening verse? Another question. The name of the parsha is Masei, journeys. That's what we call the parsha. But the parsha is not only about journeys. The parsha is also about their encampments. Why are the encampments left out of the name? The Torah portion could be called journeys and encampments. The answer, of course, is an understanding that the Torah is not a history book. The Torah is not there to tell us what took place over 3,000 years ago. These are the journeys, these are the encampments, this is the geography of the particular places where the Jewish people were. The Torah is meant to be an instruction manual for life. Therefore, everything that's in it, including the names of the Torah portions, has a message for us. So what is the message of the name of the Torah portion being called journeys and leaving out the title encampments from the parsha? So we'll begin with an idea from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, taught that life is a journey. And it's in fact that these 42 journeys that the Jews made from Egypt to Israel are actually the blueprint, the roadmap for our own journeys in life. That when we look back and reflect at those 42 journeys, we're going to see the roadmap for how we can live the most successful and productive life possible. I want to just give a few examples. These come from Rabbi Shimon Sofer in his book, Torah Moshe. He writes, they departed Kivras Hataiva, right? The burial place of the lusters. This means that they buried their appeal for luxuries and lust and moved to a holier state of mind. So one of the journeys that the Jewish people have, we departed from a place called Kivras Hataiva. They had a powerful experience in this place. What did they do? They buried their appeal, their addiction, their dependence on luxuries, the physical, the material, and they became holier. Incredible for our own lives as well. Another example, he writes, they departed Chareda, fear and trembling. They settled in Makelos, which is unity. If we are unified and at peace with each other, no harm can befall us. They departed fear and trembling because they were settled in unity. For some people, our lives are full of fear and trembling. The Torah tells us, what do we have to do? We have to journey away from fear and trembling. How do we journey away from fear and trembling? By having unity in mind, by having Makelot as our next generation. When we are at peace with each other, that is how we reduce fear and trembling in our life. So there is a life lesson that we have to take from each one of these 42 journeys, which will help us grow in our life and help us arrive at a better location. But sometimes in life, we need a break. If every day we're journeying, if every day we're traveling, if every day we're moving, it can be quite exhausting. Sometimes you need to relax. Sometimes you need to stop at an encampment. What does the Torah come to tell us? What should our attitude be? How should we look at these stops in life, these encampments that we have in life? We have to view them through the lens of a journey, because that is what we're doing in life. We're journeying. We're not traveling. We're not just going from place to place. What does a journey imply? A journey implies that we are growing. If God gave us another day, it's intended for us to journey to yet a higher and better sphere. We never settle for yesterday's achievements. Our focus is always on moving onward to even higher and better goals. A Jew is never meant to be satisfied where we were yesterday. We must be journeying to a new place every single day. So therefore, the Torah portion is called journeys. And the opening of the Torah portion discusses journeys, not the encampments. As the Rebbe writes, our ancestors viewed reaching their encampment not only as an achievement, but also as a prelude to the next journey. The very fact that they would journey forth from this place made the encampment a launching point, and therefore an integral part of the next journey. Even though the next journey would only begin after they had rested, the primary intention of this camp was the journey that would follow. The inner dimension of the camp was not just a place to rest, it was also a place from which to journey. The encampments are bookends of the journey. Thus, they too are called journeys. There are no places to settle down in our journeys of life. Right? It's not about resting. Every step along the way is part of that process so we can move forward, so we can continue our journeys. But in life, there are absolutely times where we do need to rest and we do need to have encampments, but there are two kinds of encampments that we have in life. Number one is very simple, to rest and relax so we could recuperate, so we could regain our strength in order to continue moving forward. But there are other times where our journey stops, not because we are resting, but because our journey is stalled. Our journey has stopped, we're experiencing a hardship, and we simply cannot move forward. Sometimes it's the result of an illness, it might be the result of an injury, it might be the result of a financial disaster. How are these parts of the journey and not just setbacks? Right? What happens when life forces us to stall or to fall back? Are these two somehow part of the journey forward? And the answer, of course, is absolutely yes, that this is very much the point of what we're saying. We may not know why tragedies befall us. We do not know why we experience pain. We do not know why we have to suffer and struggle. But one thing we do know for sure, that this is part of the very reason that our soul came down to the earth. The tragedy, the suffering, the hardship, it's part of our soul's journey in this world. It is literally the reason why we are here. So what are some strategies that we can do to try to reframe the way we think, to reshape, refocus our attitude in life that will give us the strength and the ability to be more positive, to be more optimistic, to recognize that these challenges in life are part of our journey and help us move forward? So the first example that I want to give is a journalist named Benjamin Hall. He was in Ukraine covering the war between Russia and Ukraine, and he got hit. Not only was he hit, but some of his colleagues, some of his friends actually lost their life. Benjamin Hall lost an eye, an arm, a leg, and the foot from his other leg. What was his thought process? What was he thinking about while experiencing all of this? He writes, I think it's really important when you're feeling low, and there were many times that I was really at the bottom, you have to know that there is good on the other side. That if you work hard and if you dedicate yourself to getting somewhere and you don't stop trying to achieve that, you will get there. No matter how painful something is, no matter how hard it is, if you really want to and you have the support to do it, you can get there. Never give up. Never assume it's all over. I remember from the very day this happened, remembering and thinking that I will get back. I remember lying there when it happened in the middle of nowhere, very badly injured, and thinking, I am going home no matter what. I will crawl if I have to. And I thought that way throughout. And that thought is what got me here. So for anyone else who's going through really difficult things, keep going. Never give up. It's inside of you, and there's always good on the other side. So what was helpful to Benjamin Hall was this idea was that no matter what I'm going through now, it will be good. There is going to be good on the other side. So yes, today I'm in pain, but because of the fact that I know that it will be good tomorrow, I'll have the strength to bear the pain today and to ensure that I'm going to be there to celebrate the good for tomorrow. Today might be in pain, but tomorrow is going to be good. There's another approach that was taught by Viktor Frankl, right? The famous Jewish psychiatrist, Holocaust survivor, the founder of logotherapy. So he taught that even if a person can't see the good that should be coming out on the other side, even if you have no thought at all that there's anything good that is waiting for you on the other side of the suffering or pain, nevertheless, you can still find meaning in the pain and in the suffering right now that can give you the strength to make it an actually meaning, positive, and productive experience. Viktor Frankl writes, "We must never forget that we may also find meaning in life even when confronted with a hopeless situation, when facing a fate that cannot be changed, For what then matters is to bear witness to the uniquely human potential at its best, which is to transform a personal tragedy into a triumph, to turn one's predicament into a human achievement. When we are no longer able to change a situation, just think of an incurable disease, such as an inoperable cancer. We are challenged to change ourselves." So Viktor Frankl says that even when we can't see anything good on the other side, nevertheless, we can recognize we have the ability to change ourselves in the experience. Imagine going through something so painful, so difficult, so challenging. An animal might give up, right? Somebody might give up, but this is an opportunity for you to grow as a person. You're battered, you're bruised, you're suffering, but you can have a positive attitude, and the positive attitude that you have could bring strength to other people, could bring encouragement to other people, could be calm to other people. This is an incredible human achievement. In this time, in this moment, and in this pain, you can achieve something great that will literally have a lasting impact on the lives of so many other people. The Torah takes this to a whole nother level, because from the perspective of Benjamin Hall, from the perspective of Viktor Frankl, yes, it's helpful, yes, it's positive, it gives you a way of looking at pain and suffering, but in each of those examples, ultimately, it would be much better if you never went through the pain, if you never experienced the challenge at all. You'd be so much better off if it never happened. But the Torah tells us something a little bit different. The Torah tells us that these are not just painful setbacks in life, and I'm giving you an attitude on how to view them to get through them. Rather, the Torah calls these things journeys. What is a journey? A journey is something that moves you forward, that takes you to a place where you never could have gotten to otherwise. What that means is every stop, no matter how long or painful, moves your journey forward in ways you can never imagine. They are not setbacks, they are launching points. These are not things that you need to just get through. These are experiences that you can take something out from, that are truly meaningful, that are truly productive. It's literally launching you forward. In the words of the Rebbe, to explain the only purpose of descending into the dark experiences of exile is the phenomenal redemption that will follow. It is a fall for the purpose of a subsequent climb. It is only by falling into the darkness that you can climb to dizzying heights, even higher than the level from which you fell. It is like the intensity of light that can be experienced only after emerging from darkness. What this is telling us is that learning how to suffer, how to deal with, and how to experience pain is not just about surviving. These are not just survival tools. It's a recognizing that in this experience itself is opportunity for unbelievable growth. And in fact, it couldn't happen in any other way. Just think about the experiences of Viktor Frankel. Through his experience in the camps, he was able to write his book, Man's Search for Meaning. This has been listed as one of the most influential books in the past century. Tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people have read the book and have been impacted by it. This doesn't justify the suffering. This doesn't justify the pain. We don't understand why it happened. Nevertheless, we understand that it is part of our journey in life. Because it's part of our journey in life, we have to use the experience to grow and in order to be able to influence others as well. And oftentimes, people experience that it is only after experiencing a tragedy, after experiencing a trauma, that opportunities open up for them that they never would have had, and they never would have even imagined that they could have in life if it was not for the pain, if it wasn't for the tragedy. So this is the Jewish approach, this is the Jewish attitude, how to remain positive, how to remain optimistic about the future, even when you're in the midst of the challenge, the pain, the suffering, because what do? We recognize that life is a journey. When we recognize that life is a journey, what do? We find the journey in the pain and in the suffering. This is why the Torah portion is called Masei, journeys, because life is a journey. And again, the key, find the journey in the challenge, in the pain, in the suffering. Right? This is the Jewish attitude to the challenges that we face in the experience of life. And this is how we view even the sad periods of the calendar, the saddest days of the year, the Tisha B'Av moments as well. In the words of the Rebbe, as we enter the time of year that reminds us of the profound challenges of exile, we cannot allow ourselves to despair, God forbid. Rather, we must know that this is all for the sole purpose of remaking and transforming the bitter exile into a series of journeys and ascents. We must therefore increase our excitement, brightness, that is Torah, and enthusiasm during this time. This will illuminate this time of year and highlight the journeys and ascent that are only possible during this time. It will also usher in our most important journey, one that will transform these days into days of festivity, joy, and happiness speedily in our days. Thank you so much for joining us for this class. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.